Hey guys, welcome back to For StarCraft 2 Strategy, your #1 location for step-by-step strategy and tutorial videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very standard Terran opening, basically pushing out with Marines, a handful of Marauders, and a couple of siege tanks. This is a really good strategy as Terran versus Protoss. It's generally a safe strategy. It protects you from a lot of different options that the Protoss player could go for, and it's just an all-around very well-rounded strategy. So we're going to just hop right into it here. As far as openings are concerned, basic opening, like I've discussed before, supply depot at 10, barracks at 12. When the barracks is building, build a refinery, get your second supply depot to block off, and then that's where we branch off from in the different strategies. And with this one, I believe we're going to be getting another barracks after the first one, and then we're going to be getting a factory as well, getting some siege tanks out. So yeah, we're going to be just taking a look at things here. Looking at my opponent, it looks like he's going to block off this choke, which is a very good move on his part. Blocking off this choke enables you to stop any early game pressure for the most part. And it also, you know, with it being blocked off here, it's going to allow you to expand pretty early as well. So a pretty good strategy on his part. Now, something like this is a lot more effective versus Zerg opponent. It's a little bit harder versus Terran because of siege tanks and because of early game harassment that can happen from Reapers, which is what I do here. So taking a look back at my base, as you can see, the barracks did drop at 12, and then once the barracks is building, as soon as I got another 75 minerals, I built my refinery, and now I'm going ahead and dropping off that supply depot. There's a lot of players, I see a lot of players not block off the front of their ramp. It's really, I don't know, there's pros and cons to both, obviously. One of the cons is that if you get rushed early on and you don't outrange whatever's hitting you, then you're going to probably lose a few supply depots and your barracks, which can obviously hurt. But I really like denying scouting information. I think it's one of the really, one of the best parts of playing a Terran player is just leaving your opponent in the dark as much as possible, between blocking off and things like missile turrets and the Comstat station, just all that sort of stuff. Really helps, making you aware of the sensor towers, all that stuff, making it hard for your opponents to know what you're doing. It's definitely a goal, because if the opponent doesn't know what you're doing, then they're not going to know how to counter it, and if you know what they're doing, then obviously you're going to know how to counter that. So I do build a first Marine, and I have a second Marine coming as well. I drop my factory after that. Now, once the factory's building and the second Marine comes up, I like 2 Marines just to ward off any early game Zealot pressure. 1 Marine's not going to do enough damage before they push through these supply depots, so with the 2 Marines it helps a little bit. 2 Marines pumping off against Zealots and a couple of SCVs repairing your front. You should be able to ward off any early game aggression from a handful of Zealots, and actually look at that right there. We have a Zealot pushing out towards us. Second one blocking off this ramp here. So again, a pretty good opening by my opponent. Again, this is much better for Zerg, because obviously Marines are ranged units, so they could just shoot this Zealot. It's not really preventing them from doing much of anything. And as you can see, my 2 Marines out here did move off that Zealot that prevented him from moving up. Took a little pop shot, ran away, kind of a little scared. So I get my tech lab here on the barracks, and I'm going to be getting a Reaper. Now, I'm not going for, this isn't a Reaper strategy, don't confuse it with that at all, but getting a Reaper is going to allow me to get some scouting information, and I wasn't going for a super fast Reaper necessarily, because it's not really, you don't really need to. One of those things about scouting, if you go too early, you're not going to get as much information. Going now, pumping out this Reaper right now, I'm going to see his robotics bay, his robotics facility. I'm going to see his forge and his cybernetics core. I'm also going to see this block off here at the front. It's going to give me a lot of information, a lot more information than if I just brought an SCV in earlier. So yeah, moving up here, you can see exactly what I see. See the cybernetics core move up. Okay, factory, what's this? Oh, he's building a robo facility. Alright, well, he doesn't seem to have too much in his base. Is he expanding? Because I didn't see any gateways at that point. I'm like, okay, yeah, and he's got the 2 gateways up front, not expanding. So, yeah, and then I just decided to do a little bit of harassment. Meanwhile, back in my base, keeping up on my micro, I have a siege tank up. Siege tech is being researched. Training just some units here as well. And then just picking off, he does end up running his probes away from the mineral line, not wanting to get harassed by that. Coming out with a mortal. Not sure why he wasn't building stalkers at this point. He didn't have the minerals, that's why. I really don't think he should have moved that off of his line, but he just wasn't prepared. He thought he was safe with the blocking, and he wasn't prepared for the Reaper. That was a mistake on his part. I am going to be able to take out this pylon, just dancing around a little bit with my Reaper. I am just too late. If I hit that a second earlier, I almost think I should have taken a hit or two from these probes just to stop that immortal from coming out. That would have been absolute hilarity. So going back in my base here, as you can see, I've got a bunch of Marines, a couple Marauders, and some siege tanks. Why this mix, and why, as I said earlier in this game, is this mix so effective against so many different options? Well, these Marines right here, they're going to stop any sort of early game Void Ray pressure that you're going to get. The Marauders do very, very well against Zealots and Stalkers, especially with that slow upgrade. And siege tanks are obviously just devastating. Now he does decide to push out with this to try to counter my Reaper. Maybe he thought that that's all I had. Moving forward, he's going to realize now, okay, and he's moving out with some siege tanks. Going back to his base, still hasn't gotten that pylon up, so that really, really hurt him. There you go, quick note for Protoss players, build more than one pylon for powering your main structures that are vital to your strategy, because losing that there could have lost him the game. He could have probably gotten out one or two more immortals, and then a few more ground units, but I'm sieging up right here, pushing forward. This is a really, really early push, and this is just really going to be really hard for him to handle with these two siege tanks. He only has that one immortal, which I mean normally would be good, but with these ground forces as well as the siege tanks in the back, that immortal's not going to be doing too much for him. Does it manage to get the stalker out? Unsieging, moving forward, another siege tank coming. As always, when you're pushing, make sure you have reinforcements rallied. Unless you're worried that unless you're planning on just doing a little bit of harass, have your reinforcements rallied. And there you go, reinforcements pushing in, and they're just going to absolutely devastate this here. So yeah, as you can see, a really strong build. As long as you push out properly, and getting that scouting information with the Reaper helps a lot too. It's gonna, before that I only had one or two things. Had I seen that he was gonna be getting Void Rays or something, I would have gotten some more Marines. If I saw a ton of Immortals, I wouldn't have built so many tanks, and I would have gotten more Marines and a couple Marauders as well. So really, really strong strategy, well-rounded. Again, as far as timing is concerned, I'm gonna get a supply depot at 10, barracks at 12, refinery when the barracks is building, get a factory at your first 100 gas, at your next 25 gas, build a tech lab on the barracks, go ahead and get your Reaper out, send it to your base, do some scouting, and then branch off from there. Decide if you want to build some more factories or if you want to build a few more barracks and hit with Marines and Marauders. So again, this has been Force StarCraft 2 Strategy. Please stay tuned for more videos, keep watching and keep owning.